I made a mistake. I made a real mistake. I had intentions of doing one thing, but something else happened. Let's talk about it. Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. I appreciate everyone who's watching this right now, so thank you very much. And if you like what you see, like and subscribe, both would be great, and hit the bell if you want so you get notified when I'm having another video out. Anyway, so here's what happened. I called my dealership up, and if to keep people up to speed here, I own a Multistrada V4S. I've had it for about almost exactly a year, and I have almost 17,000 miles on it, and that's with me losing 2 months where I couldn't ride it at all because I was hit, and it was getting fixed for 2 months because it got smashed up. It wasn't my fault. Anyway, I ride it a lot, and I really enjoy it, and I also get to test ride a lot of different bikes, probably almost every single thing Ducati puts out, plus a bunch of Triumph, a couple other things, you know, a Pan American. Anyway, so I call up the dealership and I talk to my salesman, Ian, right? And I'm like, Ian, what do you have for me to ride? And he goes, I have a Multistrada 1260 Enduro. I says, what year? He goes, 2020. I'm like, oh, I think it was a 19 or 20. I'm like, great, because I get a lot of people who are always asking, well, how is it compared to the old Multistradas? And truth be told, I was never a big Ducati fan prior to this Multistrada. I just wasn't. And I didn't ride one before, so I had really nothing to compare it to. Now, so after work, shot down to the dealership. There's Ian. He sees me coming in. He goes, he pulls this Multistrada around for me. I'm like, all right, great. Let's take a good look at this. So I sit down, I get all the specs ready, I start looking at all the specifications. He gives me the keys. I go outside, I start it, I start riding it, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like the way this thing feels. Anyway, go around the corner, go to my little spot where I'm going to start everything. I do all the slow motion videos to talk about different parts of the motorcycle, and then start setting up my GoPro. So I put it on, I start getting the microphone, and then this is where I made the mistake. I realized that I didn't actually bring my media mod that I can plug my microphone into. So I had no way to do audio where I would be able to ride the bike and tell you all about it. But honestly, I didn't need to. Now, this wasn't the regular Ducati Multistrada 1260. This was the 1260 Enduro. So I believe this has a significantly softer suspension, so to speak. Now, when I got it, it was set up in sport mode. I put it to touring mode, and it felt like a dog to me. It just did not have the punch I was expecting, so I'm assuming that the Enduro model was also a little bit detuned. I immediately then put it back into sport mode. I turned everything down, not off, but I turned everything down, and I went to go see how it feels for starting off, for wheeling, and I'm pretty sure that with everything turned down to like #1, and me giving it and goosing it like I normally do with my V4S, all I accomplished was lifting up and extending the front forks. I'm pretty confident that front wheel never came off the ground. So I was really disappointed in sport mode with everything turned down, but not off. And the other part about this was the steering, it just didn't feel nimble. It didn't feel right. And when I went to turn, it actually reminded me of when I used to ride my buddy's Harley Fat Bob. It was just kind of like, how do we get this thing going? So that particular bike did not feel very nimble. It felt kind of difficult to steer, almost like it was impeding me. Very, very weird. And I just didn't care for it. Again, this was the Enduro mode. So if you want to ask me about the comparison, if you have an Enduro mode, Enduro 1260 Enduro, and you're thinking about the V4S, but you're not sure, Rest assured, these two motorcycles are like night and day. I've taken the V4S off-road, not really hard technical trails, but sandy, gravelly roads. It's South Florida, so I have some woods where I went off the trail, even through the woods and the pine areas, but that's about it. So I'm sure that this thing is detuned for more slow moving, maybe through trails, as far as the 1260 Enduro is concerned. But this was just like night and day. It really was like night and day. But once I got it on the street, I hate to say it, but I was so disappointed. I think there's a reason why Ducati doesn't make this motorcycle anymore. They made leaps and bounds when they figured out this Multistrada V4, and now the V2, which I'm gonna get on that in a little while, hopefully soon, within the next couple weeks. And I'm just amazed. The difference between this 1260 Enduro and the V4 Multistrada is literally night and day. So if you're on the fence, get off the fence and hop over to the V4S. If you're happy with your 1260, if it's not the Enduro one, because I haven't ridden a non-Enduro one, keep it. But if it's anything similar, and I know it can't be that different than a 1260 Enduro, but if it's anything like that, please jump off the fence and go get yourself the Multistrada V4, V4S. You will be thrilled. So now I understand why all of the people who had previously driven a lot or rode a lot of the Multistrada said one thing about this bike, about the V4S, that the Multistrada V4 is just smooth. Everything was smooth, the power delivery, the way the bike handles, even with that 19-inch front wheel and the 17-inch rear, the thing handles extraordinarily well. It is extremely nimble. It's a great bike. I have plenty of videos about this bike. The bottom line is, if you want to look at the difference between the two and you have an opportunity to ride the two like I did, that should be enough to make a decision for you. So if you have a 1260 Enduro or a 1260 or an older Ducati and you're not sure, but you didn't test drive the new Multistrada V4, please do. Please test drive it, and I promise you, once you do, you're going to be signing papers or wishing you were. Trust me. Anyway, I thought this would be helpful, and this will maybe put a lot of things to bed, because I do get a lot of questions about this. This is Rainbow. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and have a great day. Ciao.